Print Hustlers.
We've got an interesting episode here. No, it's actually some good topics. We talked about the StickerMule political email that went out to everybody, which was a interesting stir and has actually gone to mainstream media too. We don't get enough controversy in our industry, so we got to talk about this. And we talked a lot about being direct and managing a team. I think some of the awkward parts about it, though, not the typical stuff that maybe we cover generally, but this was, being more of an individual contributor to being more of a manager and trying to be more direct and how to get there, and recruiting, how to create a better process, and what Chad has learned through going in and diving into that. So this will be a great episode.
We got some sponsors though.
Hey, all right. Easy way. I know Steven's spending hours cleaning dirty screens, but guess what? That is a thing of the past. Steven's no longer doing that because of EasyWay screen printing and cleaning chemicals. Their innovative formulas are designed to work quickly and effectively. So Steven doesn't have to spend as much time cleaning, and he could be creating. Plus, EasyWay is passionate about empowering printers of all skill levels, including me, including you. They offer helpful resources and expert advice to help you succeed in your shop.
Bruce, where do you buy EasyWay chemicals from?
Multicraft_daddy.
If you need ink, supplies, or a daddy, Multicraft Screen Printing and Digital Supplies for over 50 years has been providing you with top brands at competitive prices. If you mention the Printavo pod, you're going to get 10% off your first order. Here's an ask. Go to Instagram, go to multicraft_daddy, and give him a follow. If you shoot him a DM, he's giving away a case of free PMI tape per episode. And PMI tape's incredible. So DM him, follow Dave, and thanks so much, Multicraft. We appreciate all your support.
Supercolor is doing some crazy innovation. Talk to Rum kind of often, which is so cool to see them just continuing to build a great business. They are the world's best heat transfer made for screen printers by screen printers, and they understand the pressures and expectations of running a screen printing business. They've got just an awesome support team too. I mean, like crazy fast, and that is so necessary to have as a partner in your business. And if you mention the code Printavo15, you get 15% off their transfers.
Bruce, do you need a solution to improve efficiency and reduce costs in your art department? If you didn't already know, Graphic Source helps hundreds of Printavo shops by offering leading outsource options for your shop by truly becoming a part of your team. They plug and play with Printavo and other shop management software. If it comes to SEPs, mockups, creative art, order management, embroidery, digitizing, back office admin, customer service, there's no better company in our industry to work with. They have over 30 years in the game. They really know and understand shop needs. They have a proven track record of success. Hit up graphicsource.com. If you use Printavo Pod 24, you'll get 50% off your first order. And you know what? You get to talk to Nick Wood, and Nick Wood will make your day. I've got some Snapchats from Nick Wood, and when he snaps me, it just makes my day. So if you want to get your day made, go get Graphic Source.
All right, let's jump on in the episode. Chad, how you doing? How's the business?
Pretty good. Hey, it's good. It's busy. Busier than we deserve. Last July, I remember it was my first July. I was asking the girls, is it normal for us to slow down this time of year like this? I was all worried about it. And this July, we haven't seen a break. So it's really
why do you think that is? Is it a new market you're doing or what?
No, just growth, getting more customers. And I think just within that, some of the customers that we do have are buying more stuff. And I can't attribute it to any sales or marketing on my end necessarily because I've been so involved in the printing. But I'd say just growth, natural growth.
Chad, do you think you spend more time, like if and I don't know if you've done this or not, but if you took your customer and look at how much they spent with you last year versus like your customer's average spend this year, are you just getting more out of repeat business, or do you feel like you're getting enough new business? Like if you were to look at a typical week, how many new customers that have never talked to you before versus just repeat?
I haven't sat down and broke this down analytically as much as I should, but I would say just from the feel of it, day in and day out, I can attribute it both ways. So we're getting new customers, more and more people coming to us, but also I can think of some of the schools that we do business for that we're getting more orders from them. For example, we got one elementary school right now that in the past we've done like a spirit store for them and a few orders. And now I'm getting the kids shirts before school, the staff shirts before school, all the stuff. So I think it's kind of cultivating that relationship. So you get, hopefully the majority of what they order, and they don't split it amongst other companies.
You're not afraid to open an online store for a day.
No, I do it all the time. Most of our stores are a week long at least, but I'll do it.
What do you mean, reopen? Or what do you mean, like create a fresh one for a day to collect orders?
Chad, you had a team that was a team made the playoffs, and you're like, we're setting up a store right now. Let's go. Like you guys pounce on moments. And I think something that I will tell shops over and over and over again is the easiest way to grow your company and to grow your brand is to just build online stores, because the word gets out fast. And I think that's something that when we talked about when we were chatting, you're like, yeah, we build stores and we'll get them up. And, we've only got a couple days here. We got a week here. We got playoffs coming. Like you guys don't wait or make your customers jump through a lot of hoops, which I think is something you naturally do. I don't think you realize you do it.
I was going to say, I think you're right. I can be a people pleaser, and this. We from kind of working with me a little bit, I can be a people pleaser, and so when they come to us, like I want to be their one-stop shop, and so I don't like to say no unless it's an obvious something that we can't do for them. But
are these stores preemptive, or are they asking for them, and you're saying, sure, well, you want it open for a day or two, let's go.
We do both. There's some
interesting
that I'm going to say, hey, are you open to doing a spirit store? It's a fundraiser. It's no cost to you. You're just, you're going to make money off of my work. And then there's some where it's playoffs. Hey, this happened in the spring for basketball. Hey, it's a Saturday night. We just made the Final Four. We need a store up. We're leaving Wednesday morning to go to state. And we get it up that weekend, get it posted, get it closed by Monday night, print them Tuesday, and I deliver them to them. So there's a lot of work, but it's worth it. But I want y'all to speak to this for a second. Wouldn't you say that availability is one of the best, assets that you can have? So my willingness to do that makes me valuable versus the next shop that's like, no, we got to have 2 weeks.
We call that beast mode. Yeah, you're willing to go into beast mode for anyone and any. I mean, Chad, I think what's cool, and we need to get into some backstory here. Chad acquired a print shop 2 years ago.
Yes,
2, 3.
September 1.
And it's a pretty. Would you be willing to share what your revenue was when you bought in?
Absolutely. The last full calendar year was 770. And this year we're on track to do about 9.5.
Nice. Congratulations.
Nothing crazy, but we're growing.
Hey, in this economy, 20% growth is pretty awesome. So I think what's really interesting is you bought a shop. You also had the owner roll over for 6 months to a year. You took their old employees. You then inserted yourself as new youth into the business. And now you're like re-jump starting everything, kind of from, I don't want to say ground zero, but like you're taking an old fashioned business and modernizing it, which I think is interesting. We got working together. Yeah, we got working together. I don't know. I think Bruce connected us and we started working on some different things, but I think there are so many shops that are in your shoes. And I think that's why we wanted to bring you on. Is because some of the stuff that you're dealing with on the day-to-day, shops can definitely relate to. If I were to ask you, Chad, what is your role at Allstar every day?
CEO, Chief Everything Officer.
I like that.
That is a Dave Ramsey thing. But I can't steal that. But
I thought you listened to Dave Ramsey because you said something, we're doing better than I deserve or something like that at the beginning.
Well,
I know that saying from somewhere.
pretty humble anyways, but yeah, it's getting more specified. When you only have like 4 or 5 people working, right, everybody's going to do multiple things. But as time goes on and it is getting more specified, I can do admin stuff. I really heavily am involved with account managing and inside sales, making sure everything's right in Printavo and, lined up. I'm the main contact with the customer. Now that the girls can handle it, the other girls that work for me, they can handle it too. I've got them trained up on it now. Whereas before, and I got a couple stories about how, before they knew how to work Printavo, before I trained them, I'd be out on vacation having to do it. But I'd say mostly customer interaction, account managing is my deal.
What are your afternoons like?
Oh, I print. Yeah, I do a lot of print. And so that's because of the spot we're in with the screen print help. Our shop's located in a small town. And, I think finding good help isn't necessarily just my area, but our hiring pool is a little smaller. And so, I've been, as you know, well know that I've been learning a lot about hiring and recruiting the right kind of people and not just hiring out of necessity, and learning that that'll get you in trouble.
What do you think was the things that you did to refresh the business though? You're since 2022, so let's call it almost 2 years in. It sounds like, order entry and standardize that was one thing. Really be proactive with customers, going a bit more of the extra mile is another. What else?
You kind of hit it on the head, just expert customer service. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's times that I mess up. Where I get in trouble is I'll be in the back too much and I won't respond to an email quick enough. That's what really gets me in trouble. And so it goes back to recruiting, get people to go back there and do it for me, and I can do the more important things and do my job. But I'd say expert customer service, and then implementing shop management software. And of course I use Printavo. And before, all he did was the previous owner had written tickets and he used QuickBooks. And so they would write out those tickets, and they would have kind of an organization deal. There'd be a to be ordered. So if somebody comes in, you write down the order. It goes in the to be ordered tray. And then you sit down once per day and batch that, and you'd order everything. Then you put it in ordered, and you'd have wrote down, when you ordered it and all that stuff. When it comes in, Amy would take it, she would check everything in, then she'd put it in the screen print, vinyl, or embroidery tray. And that means it's here, it's ready for production. When it's done, he would move it over and then go write everything into QuickBooks. I hated that. I absolutely hated that. I wanted it to be in the system the whole time. So as soon as they come in, I'm entering it online. And then other people, as we grow, they can jump online and see it too. We don't have to, in case we lose some papers or whatever. And I'm the worst about losing paper. And so I wanted something like that where everybody could use it.
Chad, I want to talk about, you said something earlier. You said, I used to be the one that only knew how to use Printavo. And I like to be customer facing. I like to be customer facing because that's where I'm most valuable. And then you said, now I taught others how to do order entry. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, I would like to start this with this little story. And this is what really drove me to, hey, I need to teach them how to do this. So at New Year's, I was snowboarding. We were at Wolf Creek, and, it was the day before New Year's. And, y'all well know probably some companies, they got to get their marketing funds released by the end of the year. So they're trying to get a hold of me, and there's like no service on this mountain except for right when you get off the lift. That's the only spot that you have service. And
except you only have like 15 seconds before your fingers start freezing.
Yeah, you're right. So I need to get this quote wrote, and the girls can't. There's stuff that they're running into because I haven't taught them how to do this right for pricing and all this other stuff. And so the only way I could do, and I've got the customer and everybody blowing me up about this, and I'm just trying to snowboard, and I'm terrible at it at this point. It was like my first week, and I'm busting my butt. Anyways, I get off of the lift, snowboard down to a spot where I can sit on my butt, and I open my Printavo app on my phone, and I'm writing this invoice while I'm on the top of the world over there on vacation. Yeah. And so it was at that point I was like, I've got to train somebody else to do this for me because I can't do this while I'm on vacation.
Can you talk, Chad, about,
By the way, I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you
just because I think if you've been skiing or something and you're sitting on the side and you're like, God damn, and like trying to figure it out because you really don't have much time before your fingers just turn into icicles.
It was really my butt was freezing because I was sitting on the snow.
Yeah. Did you make the sale? You got the sale though?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, good. I want to talk about something that we had talked about, Chad, is your employees controlling you or like having a lot of shame or guilt or them saying things like, well, you should be here all day or, well, that's your responsibility, right?
Or this is how we've just done it.
Or this is how we've done it. Or this is what Chad needs to do, right? Can you talk a little bit about the transition that you've gone through in the last 6 months and the mindset shift you've had with your team? Because you've got a really solid team. They've been there for a minute. They respect you. They love you. What's your relationship? What was your relationship like with your team? And maybe what is it now?
So I think we can, I want to preface this a little bit with Steve and I kind of like broke this down one day. We were trying to do SOP stuff and we had to separate from it for a day and just talk about this stuff. And we kind of tracked it back to kind of how I was brought up. I'm the youngest in my family. And it was the deal that, you know, somebody would show up with groceries. If you weren't on your feet out there helping them right now, like you were in trouble, you were hearing about it. And so it was always about helping the older people or helping somebody else. It was never about you. It was always about everybody else. And there can be really good things that come from that. Don't get me wrong. So coming into business, you know, one lady that works for me, she's 50 years old. And so I have a hard time telling her what to do. Not that she doesn't do it. It's that in my head, I'm like, who am I to tell her, you know, my senior what to do? And then the other two girls that work for me, they're 2 years younger than me. So they feel like they're my sisters, my age. And, you know, sometimes asking them to do something that's not like their regular job, I feel like I shouldn't ask them. So say if we really need help cleaning screens, I'm thinking in my head, like they're going to tell me no. They're going to tell me no, that's you do it. You know, they're going to tell me this. I walked in there one day after Steve and I had this talk and I said, hey, we need to get to cleaning more screens right now. It's playoff season, so we're going through a ton of them. And they literally said, okay, yeah, I was thinking about doing the same thing. And they pitched in. You know, so I've got this stuff. I tell myself these stories in my head real bad about, you know, wanting to wear their emotions on my sleeve before I even ask them to do something. And odds are, what I've learned is if they're going to get a little upset of it, Steve kind of taught me this, if they're going to get a little upset, they might be upset for 5-10 minutes and they'll get over it. You know, we're not going to go out and say something rude to them. It's just asking them to do something. That's all it is. Asking them for help.
How did that feel after? Because I feel like I do the same. In fact, I do it so much that I have a post here. Let me show you this. I have a post-it note here. It says, step 1, give appreciation. Then step 2, give direct feedback. What exactly do you want? Instead of beating around the bush, like literally, what is the outcome you want? And I put it right here. But how did that feel for you after? Like, did it change, or is it a skill that you're always working towards?
I'm trying to hone it, and this is a key leadership skill that I'm trying to hone and get better at. Man, I don't know how religious y'all are, but you could trace this back to Jesus doing it. There's examples all over the place where you, on that post-it note right there that you just had, is you give the praise and the recognition first, and then you're going to critique him, ask him to do something after that. Unless it's just so bad that you can't praise him for anything, and then you just got to get down to business. You know,
maybe there's other problems there. Yeah.
Right.
Do you have that, Steven? I feel like you're more direct out of all of us, but do you still have that, or?
Yeah, like you feel guilt or shame,
like before you even, you know, it's like sometimes like writing up, you know, a job, and then I remember before I would just knock it down before I even send it off. It was like, who am I negotiating with? Just myself.
Yeah, I think our perception of what our employees think is completely different than what they actually think sometimes. And I think Chad, you know, going off on that, there was this expectation that you had to be in there every single day. And if I'm not in there, they're going to be like, what's the owner doing? He should be in there. How did that change, or what'd you do?
I think it starts with putting it out there and labeling the situation first, and making it known what you're trying to achieve, and then they can kind of get on board with it. But if they think they don't know why you're not there, then they think you're just being lazy. They're working hard, but you're not. That's what's almost in some people's mind, or that's still just in my head. But if they know that, hey, I'm trying to get in here and then I'm going to leave so that I can do focused work because I can't really do it here, they'll understand that. But I think it starts with putting it out there first, making sure everybody's on the same page. You get buy-in about it first. So easy for me to talk about it today.
Time you did that kind of hard, or did you just end up
Absolutely.
like blurting it out, or?
Oh yeah. And if I bring in something new, I'm not sure how they're going to react to it. I'm nervous as all get out, and I don't know that they know that, but I can feel the bugs, the butterflies in my stomach about like, what are they going to say?
Sometimes we convince ourselves out of ideas, or we convince ourselves for the other party before we even actually try it, or we just like over rationalize it, or we overthink it. And then if we actually played it out, it might not be that same situation. One thing, Chad, that like when you started to make this transition where you're like, I'm not going to reclaim the screens, I'm going to deliver bad news, and I'm not going to be here as much. And that's not your problem. That's mine. How did you ensure that when you left, shit didn't hit the fan? Like, did you put any things in place, so that this whole snowboarding thing doesn't happen again, right? Like, what are some of the things that you are doing consciously with your team, to give them the autonomy for you not to be there?
I think preparation and going through scenarios before you leave for a week. And so like if I can try to leave for a morning and leave for a day and then see how that goes before I leave for a week. And it's almost like practice in a sense. It's okay, I'm going to prepare the screen printer. I'm going to train him up really, really good. I'm going to go run errands for the rest of the day. I'm going to let you do it. Now, Amy's still in charge over there whenever I'm gone. So there is still quality control. Like if he has a problem, there's still somebody to go to for some questions before they come to me. But I'd say just thinking about every possible scenario that can come up while you're gone, training them for those scenarios. I think that's how it goes. And then letting them do it. And the hardest part is letting them mess up. That's the hardest part for me. And I'm sure y'all can identify with that. But they have to, right? We've messed up.
I still have tough times with that. Even just like I was just sharing a screenshot with Steven of like an email formatting, which I was like, nah, just let it go. I don't need to be in this. It's fine. I'll text you about it. It's fine. And then I literally like 5 minutes later respond back to the person like, hey, this isn't formatted right. Can you fix this for the next one? But I know I shouldn't have done that. Like, but letting it fully go, especially if it's a customer interaction, I don't know. Have you been able to, other than, I guess you could just sign out and like literally just delete it and then it's gone and then you can't do much about it, or you sign out of the Slack, or you're not checking certain things, but I don't know.
The saying that I have is the best problems you don't find out about because they fix themselves. Right. And the worst ones are when no one wants to fix it and then it ends up on your desk. Right. And you're the last one to know. But I think there's some wisdom there. Like, Chad, something I think you did with Amy is like, there was a day you sat down with her and you put her in charge. You're like, I'm going to lay out your job here and I'm going to write what you are responsible for. And even though you guys have like not a crazy operation, 4 or 5 employees, you still wrote it down and gave it to her. And that at least is something documented where she knows I'm in charge, and I think there's a lot to be said there. Even if you're a small shop, having job descriptions, like something cool that Chad has at his shop is almost every employee has a job description. And it's pretty cool because you can duplicate it. You can just rinse, repeat it. Right. So I think there's a lot of wisdom there. Bruce,
real quick on the situation, you said that problems like fix themselves. So Alex, she's our graphics IT girl. She is a natural problem solver, and I have found through trying to recruit people that you can't find those everywhere. Those are rare. And so if something's going wrong, she's not going to ask you first. She's going to go try to figure it out. And I really, really value having those people there. And so it gives me confidence in her. Another thing that was impactful for me was Chris Markey. I was talking to him one day, and we're on the phone. He's out at lunch, and I'm like, what's going on at the shop? And he said, they've got a big job going on right now, so I like to go out to lunch and let them figure it out. And I'm like, whoa. At the time when I was talking to him, I was still pretty new, and I just thought that was powerful. I was like, man, he trusts them that much that if they mess up a big job, I mean, it could be costly, but he knows that they've got to figure it out. I like that.
What do you think, like as a leader now, finishing out this year into next year, is the one thing that you want to try to improve? Is it that letting go, or is it leveling up, or is it the hiring side, or what do you think is your big focus?
I would say recruiting, and then training and empowering other people to do their job without assistance, or to problem solve as much as they can without anybody else's help before they go to somebody else.
Chad, you use the word recruiting, not hiring. Why'd you use recruiting?
That's a Steve word. That's a Steve
word. Wait, explain the difference.
Chad, go down this journey of what you've been doing as recruiting, because I feel like a lot of people need to hear this.
So before, we would post on Facebook, we would post a sign outside saying that we're hiring. And then, we get a few applicants, because you don't get a lot of visibility that way. But we would get a few applicants, and then I would just kind of choose the best one that I thought was the best one. And you're kind of hiring out of necessity at that point. And you're not, and I've listened to plenty of y'all's podcasts where it's talking about how that's a huge no-no, because you end up paying for it in the long run. If you get them hired on and they only work out for 3 weeks, you might as well have just not hired them. But,
as desperate as we get,
or just lit $2,000 on fire. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather see fireworks go up in there or something, right? But working with Steve, we had to stop one day and just work on recruiting. And so we had to post on Indeed, and I had like 150 applicants. And then, I narrowed it down to about 10 to 15 that I wanted to talk to. And then I hired one. My mistake there was that I still thought I had to hire one out of those ones that I talked to. And, he came on and worked for a few weeks, and he got into some trouble outside of work, and it didn't work out. But anyways, now I know the process of doing that, which is going to serve me for the rest of my employer career.
It's interesting because when we started the recruiting process, recruiting is the highest form of sales. I'll say that again. Recruiting is the highest form of sales. And if you're a great recruiter, you're a great salesperson, because if you can convince people to come work for you, then you can convince people to buy from you. Something that I see in the industry that happens is that we are hiring desperately, and that we're not casting a wide enough net to get as many possible leads early on in our recruiting process. And so, what ends up happening is we will post on Instagram, but we'll say, you have to email me at this address if you want to apply. And I'll be like, you're not supposed to be testing them right now. You're just getting leads. Why don't we try to get 150 people in our funnel and then whittle them down and then test them, right? And so I think what's cool there, though, Chad, is you realize that, hey, if you pay some money, you put some stuff on Indeed, there are hundreds of people that want jobs. Now it's just a little sales pipeline, and you ran a process. I think what's really funny is you did a phone interview on the call with me. And what we learned is, like, doing phone interviews isn't easy. It's awkward. How do you ask the right questions? How do you do this? How do you do that? And now when you recruit, you recruit so much smarter. And so I think
what's the interview question that you ask that helps
Chad,
get rid of a lot of people?
What are your banger questions?
Hey, y'all, I'm so much of a talker, you can probably already see that I just try to feel them out and I try to see if they have any motivation. But one thing that I look for, I don't know if I necessarily have one question that I ask that points this out, but I want to look for if they are blaming themselves or blaming somebody else for where they're at. If they start blaming
Yeah.
everybody else,
I
what are
didn't
they
get
going to do when they
along
come
with
to
the
work for you?
boss before. That one's always a red flag alert.
Yeah. And man, all the time you'll see people come in and they're like, "Oh, so and so did this. This happened because of them. This happened because of them." I've always been the type of I'm blaming myself too much before I start blaming anybody else. And I don't think I can hire me, but I don't want somebody who's going to blame everybody else because what happens when I come back and they mess something up and they just blame other circumstances? I can't teach that person thing.
How do you sift out the motivation part on a phone call?
I look for energy. I don't think I have this honed in quite yet, but I really look for energy. If I'm talking to somebody and they have like no motivation to even talk to me, why do I want them in my place of work? I want people to be happy that they work there. And whenever I walk in, I want to feel good about that person. The last thing that I want, and I've had this, is where I walk in and I dread talking to that employee. Like I want to be excited to come see, what's up, Joe? How's screen printing be? I want to be excited to be with them. And so I kind of look
Do you
for
have any
energy.
banger? You have any banger questions, Stephen?
So when you're recruiting, the phone interview is to screen and qualify your candidates. Do you have reliable transportation? Do you have your head on straight? Are you a convicted felon? Are we willing to talk to you? It's just a sifting. It's a quick sift. You're not supposed to be digging too much in a phone interview. It should be 15 minutes long. It should be pretty quick, pretty brief. And in 15 minutes, you should know, do I like this person enough to bring them in? You don't start hitting them with the hard, committed questions of, why are you the best team player? Or why are you going to show up to work every day? It's all just qualifying them and sniffing them out. Once you bring them in, that's where you have more of a behavioral interview. You're asking harder hitting questions. You're asking questions like, I can teach you skill, but I can't teach you effort and attitude. Why do you have the effort and attitude here to be successful? Right. Timeliness is really important to me. How do I know that you're going to show up on time every single day, or are you going to be the person that calls in sick? Right. And you kind of scare them in that in person. And then after that, you do the working interview where it's like, hey, I need you to come out here for a couple hours. I'll pay you. And we need to see if you're a good culture fit here. And that's where you're watching for things like neatness, the questions they ask. Are they annoying? Do you like them? Do you not like them? To see if like, I want this person here every day. And if you can do those three things, you can hire pretty quickly. You can't miss a step though, I think, in my opinion. Was that banger enough, Bruce?
I like that. Someone told me before, when you're interviewing as an owner, you're generally very optimistic. We're all overly optimistic in what we do, and we make it happen over time. In interviewing, you got to be actually the opposite. You got to be pessimistic. You got to look for the red flags. Because what happens is we'll say, "Oh, I don't know. I think like that. I think we can maybe train that person, or I'll give it a shot, or whatever." But hunting for red flags and like the soccer like referees like pulling up the yellow card or red card or whatever, that helps stop me waste a lot of time from potential bad ones, because all the ones that I've like I'll take a shot on, it's just the probabilities are too high, it doesn't work out.
All right. So, Chad, you said a red flag on the phone is bad energy. If they're not talkative, if they don't call you on time, if they're like mopey or whatever, that's a red flag on the phone. What's a red flag when you're looking at resumes?
Short employment history, because y'all well know that anybody listening to this is going to know I can't train somebody to screen print in 1 week. I can train them how to pull a shirt off the press in a week. That's pretty easy. I can train them to do that really quick. But if I need somebody to operate a press, most of the stuff back there takes some training, takes some experience. And so if they're going to come in and work for me for 6 months, I may have just got them official at 6 months. I can train somebody to work without me in probably 46 weeks, but it takes some months, y'all know, to actually get proficient at what you're doing. And that's pretty much anything. But if they're only coming to work for a place for 6 months to a year, was it really worth devoting all that time into them? And so if I'm looking at that resume and I see a bunch of different jobs and each one is 6 months, a year, then I'm really kind of just skipping on to the next one. I want to see 2 to 3 years at each place.
I don't even care what the job is. It could be Burger King. should you stay somewhere for 3 to 4 years? Because if you stayed there for 3 to 4 years, they liked you enough. You did a good enough job to be there. You didn't get fired. Something must have gone right. But the job hoppers.
What do you consider job hopping? Because sometimes I have seen, we had one really good team member who, had a 3 sort of year stints, and he turned out to be great. And he explained it though. He explained one closed down, what, this or that. Is a year a hop? Is it 6 months? Is it 3?
Bruce, are we talking engineers or hourly employees?
A little bit of both. My example was an engineer.
Okay. I think we're talking hourly employees.
But a year for me for an engineer is a huge red flag.
Yes. I think a year anywhere is a red flag.
So what's considered job hopping for an hourly person that you would red flag the resume?
If they have 10 years of work experience and they've had 8 jobs, that's a problem.
Okay. What about, but most folks maybe in the 3 years work experience, 4 years work experience, 3-4 jobs.
I mean, if someone's at a place for 2 to 4 years, in my opinion, that's good. It's the 6 months to a year. I started October 2021 and I was done July 2022, and you just see them cycling back and forth. I think
for the
unfortunately,
hourly employees,
yeah. Go ahead,
for
Chad.
the hourly employees, wouldn't y'all say that it's almost more common to see the job hoppers than it is the people that have a longer tenure?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what my experience, I've been seeing more of those.
Right. And look, you can look at age, you can look at where they're at in life, right? If you've got a 24-year-old and they've just done odd jobs and they're a good person and they're looking to sink their teeth into something, fine. Right. Sometimes it's I'm looking to make that career move. Fine. Right. There's always edge cases. But I think to your point, Chad, if you were going to pour into someone, you have to be very careful. And so maybe if there's a job hopper that you like, maybe they're just folding shirts. You're making them earn that before you put them on press. I want to talk about, Bruce, we have some time to talk about stickers.
All right, let's do it. I think we got a good difference of opinions here, which is good because I have my own pros and cons to this. Chad, did you see the StickerMule email campaign that went out recently?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so you've heard of StickerMule though, right?
Y'all have lost me.
All right, basically stickermule.com, you can order, they have a lot more than stickers now, but they started off on stickers, incredibly short process as far as ordering. And I think that's why they've really gained a lot of growth. Huge company now out in New York area. We had the founder on, Anthony, who's really runs the business his way. He's customized printers. He's got engineers on staff that have literally customized it to his specific orders. He said, I should give a preface that he's known for doing more controversial marketing things with the business. I mean, they run it their way. They sent an email out.
And Bruce, they're probably, we don't know their revenue. They could be $100 million company easily.
I think easily.
We're talking thousands of employees. They are all over the internet. They're arguably the biggest sticker company I think that I know. Right. Yeah. With the best technology and the best turnaround times, and the product is really good. They send you hot sauce in every order.
Right. It's election season, right? People are heated. Thanksgiving is in family outings is maybe a little. You want to step. You don't want to step on anyone's toes. And actually, in our families, we just don't talk about politics because of that, especially right now. And it brings an interesting conversation into the workplace as far as that coming up in the workplace. StickerMule sent out an email the other day I'll read just some snippets. Hello, Donald Trump was shot. I don't care what your political views are, but the hate for Trump and his supporters have gone too far. People are terrified to admit that they support Trump. Americans shouldn't fear. I support Trump. Many at StickerMule also support Biden. The political hate needs to stop. By the way, this week, get one shirt for $4, normally $19. I suggest you buy one that shows you support Trump and so on. He goes out for a little bit. Vocalize your support, stop the hate. Sincerely, Anthony, co-founder at StickerMule. And
then what's the bottom of the email says? If you want to, for controversy, go to Twitter. What do you say?
Yeah. That was in there too, but for some reason I don't have that in my screenshot. But yeah, it was like, this isn't, stop hating on each other. The more controversy is meant for Twitter or X or whatever. And the subject of the email was Trump 2024. So this is a naturally good conversation, especially because we follow this company called Basecamp, who 2 years ago said, look, work time is for work related things. We don't want to talk about political things here at all. Like, we only have a good 6, maybe 8 hours of work time here. I don't want you to bring up all this personal stuff going on in current events and these types of things. Don't put it on work channels. And half the company quit. Out of, I think, 50, half of them left because they were like, well, it's work life. This is our life. Like, we want to talk about this stuff. It was like, look, you could talk about it. It could be out grabbing coffee at lunch, whatever, but not on work related channels. Let's just focus on work. So I have some pros and cons here of what I thought. I mean, I think there's a couple obvious ones, but I'm curious of your guys' opinion. This is a bold play, right? In a way where it's either a genius marketing campaign, and now they're on MSN, they're on Fox, they're all over. It's viral on social channels and so on. But it probably also makes, I'd say, half of the team maybe feel alienated and or customers. What do you guys think? You want to, Steven, Chad, who wants to go first?
So I read this. Go ahead, Chad. What are you going to say?
Are you talking more focused on the email that he sent or what he said?
The email, like, would you ever blast your customers out that? Would you ever take your personal opinions and put it through the universe and send it out to the world and then basically make that your company's thing?
No, we kind of stay away from politics because you may have somebody that comes in that orders a ton of stuff from you and you didn't know that they supported Biden. And then you put a Trump deal out there and maybe they go somewhere else. I just want to stay away from that. I'm strong in my beliefs, but nobody else has to believe the way that I do. Now, when it comes to, I might put something, a Bible verse up there in my business, and that's something I'm going to hold strong to. But as far as politics, I really don't think the workplace has room for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think his move was I think it was an evil genius marketing move. I think he knows his demographic. I think he knows what's going to come out of it. And I think he's creating all of this buzz so that the printing industry can cancel him. He can get more leads and sell more stickers, and he can kind of feel stronger in his beliefs. Because if those are his beliefs, fine. But I do think, I almost feel like it was a crazy marketing play. Bruce, do you think that?
I mean, you could probably run the numbers. If he said, I would churn a third, but we would gain more than that because of all of the mentions and because maybe that, his base. I mean, he does mention both. He's like, look, our team supports both sides, but we don't want political hate here. It came off as a lot more aggressive than that, though. I'm on your side, though, Chad. I think, as much as Anthony's definitely a very sharp business person and marketer, this was a bold play. I mean, this was a very bold bet, and but why? I don't understand. Especially when you've got an incredibly growing, profitable business. What was the point of making that bet?
Well, now, maybe he saw the opportunity. Given recent events, he was like, this is on people's minds. And I don't know, but the good thing about it is that he chose unity. He didn't side, because siding is where you would get in trouble. But if you're going to try to bring people together, then I can see, good things coming out of that.
It was a together but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he doubled down on it. And you know what? I think he's more of the tech world. I think he's been part of some, some different companies and some things in Elon's world. I don't know if it's social media. I think he's tried to start a social network or something like that. So I imagine the way he influences or thinks about the world from a marketing standpoint, social influence standpoint is just different. I think it came out of left field. I had a couple employees fire it my way and say I don't feel like we should be ordering from them anymore. And at Campus Inc., like we're a very like understanding company. We have a very our production facility is down in Central Illinois, and our sales and marketing and offices are up in Chicago. So completely different demographics, different generations, different political affiliations, different religions, you name it. And we have like a mutual respect to just respect what people believe. Don't push it on anyone else. If you want to talk about it and it's not aggressive and it's cordial, like we don't really, police it, but we just don't tolerate like crap that could put someone else down if there's an employee there that is dealing with something that you have no idea about. You know what I mean? Like that's the stuff that I don't like is, if you're talking about, abortion rights or something like that, like you don't know who's in the room. You don't know who's dealt with whatever. And like, why are you to just say that in your place of work and then you make your place of work uncomfortable, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on? It doesn't really matter. But I just think like as business owners, we have the opportunity to have a family kitchen table and to have healthy and happy conversations. And it doesn't need to be polarizing or hate or whatever. I don't know. What do you think, Bruce?
How do you respond if staff's like, well, we should buy from someone else?
I take it into consideration. I think that's where I have to align and say like, do I want to make a business decision here? Am I willing to look past it? Is it going to be a continuing problem? How is it going to affect our brand? Right? Like, cause we drop ship StickerMule to a lot of people. Right. And if that comes back and bites me in the butt, yeah, I might be a little annoyed. Maybe I'm going to look somewhere else. Right. Their ordering process is really simple though. And it's cheap and it's fast. So like, I do take that stuff into consideration and I just let them know, like, I hear you. I understand. I'm going to make a decision based on it. And I just need you to respect because it is my company. Right. But I don't democratize my business. I still own it,
Yeah. I feel like after watching, was it Bud Light or like one of the beer companies, getting involved in politics and I think that was on the more like gender identity stuff, and Disney trying to pick sides, and it just feels to me like an unnecessary risk. But again, I know Anthony's more of a mad scientist and likes to do things his way, so I appreciate that too.
Bold move,
it's
Cotton.
crazy.
Let's see how it plays out for
you. Bold move. It's crazy how many sticker companies responded differently, right? Like, we'll do this without hate. We'll do this. We'll do this. So it's like, I feel like he knew what he was doing. He's like, I'm just going to light this fire right here and see what happens.
And when things go good, you can take more risk. And, things have gone good for a long time for them, it seems. So anyway, I thought it was a pretty cool. We don't have enough controversy in our industry. So,
we can get controversy. You want controversy? No, I'm just kidding. Red versus green or blue versus green. Let's go. I'm just kidding. Relax. No, it's fun.
Yeah. People are super sensitive right now.
Yeah. Maybe we can try to get Anthony on. You think he'll come back on and talk about it? Bruce.
I'm sure every news outlet is just like going
shoot
crazy.
Him a message. Shoot him a message.
I will. Well, I appreciate you guys reaching out. Chad, if folks want to have questions, can they shoot you an email?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just chat at allstarcustomapparel.com, and it's long. Our Instagram is go ahead. Our Instagram is allstarcustomapparel.tx. And we're really trying to grow the social media. Before, there really wasn't much social media presence at all. And so now one of the girls that works for me, I've appointed her to take care of it. And she's thriving at it. She likes doing it. And so she's
Do you still answer DMs if a shop slides into your DMs to tell you how great you are? You'll answer.
And I do it to other shops. Y'all had In the Zone on one time. And I followed them, and just the other day I reached out to them about some stuff about their shop that I thought was awesome. And they came back to me with like a novel about what they do, and were more than willing to talk about it and to share their process. And I was like, that's fantastic. I think there needs to be more of that in the space. And the more you get to know people, it seems like they're willing to share their stuff. So Steve's hooked me up with a couple people in the industry that I've been able to talk to and learn about their business, and then I've been able to share stuff about mine to them that's helped them. The previous owner of my business, he didn't have any, maybe like one contact that was in the industry that he talked to. It was pretty much just his deal, and so y'all have been a good outlet to meet other people in the industry. The first thing, we haven't really talked about acquisition or anything like that, but like the first thing that I did when I acquired the business is I searched up Screen Printing Podcast, and I found Printavo. That's how I come across Printavo.
Is it the number one? Is it the number one screen printing podcast
in the world?
Not even sure. Don't give me the line.
Is it the number one screen printing podcast?
Actually, it does not come up first. You have to actually hunt for it.
Okay, Dylan,
it is,
Andy, did you hear it?
We're going to label it that.
Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Definitely have to hunt for it.
It's Chad, it's a cool network that we have. It's a fun family. I always say we're all coworkers. We're dealing with the same shit every single day. Firing, hiring, managing, printing, chief everything officer. And this has been awesome. I'm excited for you because I was in your shoes and in almost the same exact footprint with like the same exact type of business partner. And it's going to be cool to watch your journey. We're going to have to set a date a couple of years from now and come back on and visit and talk about how it is. So
yeah, hopefully by then we'll be in our new building and everything. I'm working on closing on a lot right now to build us a new building. And, I'm excited for what's to come.
Road to $1 million for Chad. Thanks for joining us and being transparent. Appreciate it. Hey, print hustlers, we appreciate you guys joining us for another week, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully you'll be able to pull something out, and we love keeping to be able to share with you. All right. Thanks for supporting. Bye, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully that was informative. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy all the stuff we're putting out, it's really helpful. We love to just be able to see it. That means that we're doing a good job. To subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.